Experiencing extreme cold, characterized by visible breath, vehicular malfunction, and rapid onset of numbness, provides a context for understanding Viking winter survival. For these historical Norse communities, daily life often involved temperatures plummeting to -30 degrees Fahrenheit or -34 degrees Celsius, devoid of modern heating or insulation. Their reliance was solely on human physiology, instinct, and accumulated survival wisdom. The central question thus becomes, how did entire families, including children, endure Arctic-like winters and maintain sufficient warmth to engage in activities such as shipbuilding, timber felling, and long-distance seafaring? This analysis will explore specific Viking adaptations for surviving severe cold. A primary survival strategy involved cohabitation with livestock within Viking longhouses. Families resided alongside chickens, goats, sheep, and even cattle. While seemingly unconventional by modern standards, this practice was highly pragmatic. Animals generate substantial body heat, and Viking dwellings were architecturally designed to retain this warmth efficiently. Longhouses typically featured a single large communal room, a central fire pit, sleeping platforms along the walls, and low ceilings to prevent heat dissipation. Animals were housed directly within the living space. A single cow, for instance, could produce heat equivalent to a 1,000-watt heater. Sheep functioned as natural radiators of warmth throughout the night. Horses were occasionally positioned near doorways, serving dual purposes of heat generation and providing early alerts against potential threats like wolves or raiders. The intentional layout included animal stalls constructed at a slightly lower elevation than human sleeping areas, further aiding heat retention and mitigating cold drafts. The effectiveness of internal heat generation was contingent on robust structural integrity. While Viking longhouses might appear rudimentary wooden structures on frozen ground, their construction revealed sophisticated engineering tailored for survival. Walls were not merely timber, but consisted of an inner layer of wooden planks, a thick middle layer of earth-packed turf, and an outer layer of boards designed to repel wind and rain. The turf layer served a critical insulating function, akin to a dense, breathable foam, highly effective at trapping heat. Overhead, roofs were sloped and covered with up to 2 feet of sod, offering insulation levels comparable to or exceeding many modern attics. Floors, typically packed dirt lined with straw or animal hides, contributed to retaining warmth and excluding cold. This layered design enabled interior temperatures of approximately 40 degrees Fahrenheit or 4 degrees Celsius, even when external conditions plummeted to -30 degrees Fahrenheit, providing a survivable rather than luxurious environment for nighttime sleep. Furthermore, many longhouses were partially excavated into the earth, leveraging the ground as a natural thermal buffer, resulting in cooler interiors during summer and warmer conditions in winter. Sod roofs often integrated seamlessly into the landscape by sprouting grass in spring. Some structures were strategically angled to maximize sunlight exposure during darker months, implementing a passive solar heating effect well before its formal conceptualization. Vikings also employed moss to fill gaps between logs, a technique known as chinking, which remains in use in traditional cabin construction. Certain scholarly assessments suggest that these dwellings achieved thermal efficiencies comparable to small contemporary houses, notably without the aid of metal wires or thermostats. Fire constituted a fundamental heating element, though its application differed significantly from modern practices. Most Viking longhouses lacked chimneys, not due to oversight, but because their designers understood that chimneys would facilitate the rapid expulsion of warm air. Instead, they utilized a central fire pit that sustained a constant burn. A small, strategically placed opening in the roof allowed smoke to escape slowly and deliberately, a method now recognized as passive ventilation, ensuring minimal heat loss and maximal efficiency. While internal air could become smoky, this smoke also served to preserve wooden beams, deter insects, and imbue residual warmth into the thick sod roof structure. These fires were characterized by smoldering, low and controlled burns rather than roaring blazes. A nighttime ritual involved removing heated stones from the fire, wrapping them in sheepskin or fur, and placing them underneath sleeping platforms. These stones, reaching temperatures exceeding 150 degrees Fahrenheit or 65 degrees Celsius, radiated warmth for extended periods, functioning as rudimentary thermal masses. Some fire pits were engineered as shallow cones to promote uniform heat distribution throughout the dwelling. In instances of wood scarcity, alternative slow-burning fuels such as dried animal dung or peat blocks were employed, providing sustained, low-intensity heat without excessive illumination. The enduring soot blackening the rafters of ancient Viking homes provide historical evidence of these long-term winter heating practices. Some fire pits were even lined with stone or whalebone, designed to absorb heat during the day and release it gradually at night, forming a heating system optimized for survival rather than comfort. Despite the presence of fire, the ground level presented a significant thermal challenge due to the natural sinking of cold air and the frozen earth floors. Direct ground level sleeping was not only uncomfortable, but also hazardous. To mitigate this, Vikings constructed elevated wooden platforms or benches, typically situated along walls. These structures raised sleepers above the coldest air layers, positioning them closer to the warmer air accumulated near the roof. Some platforms were expansive enough to accommodate entire families, while others incorporated hide curtains or woolen flaps to enhance personal heat retention, effectively creating individual insulated sleeping areas. Beneath these elevated sleeping platforms, items such as firewood, tools, and food were stored, benefiting from the insulation provided by the occupants above and remaining elevated from the frozen ground. In certain longhouses, a secondary loft was built above the main beam, serving as an attic sleeping area designed to capture the warmest air in the room. Additional insulation materials, including fur, straw, and dried birch bark, were layered beneath sleeping mats to establish a crucial barrier against frost. This strategic positioning within the dwelling effectively mapped and utilized available heat, keeping inhabitants above the coldest zones. While elevated sleeping platforms offered thermal advantages, personal insulation through clothing was equally vital. Vikings did not primarily rely on bedding. Instead, they wore multiple layers of garments. These typically included wool tunics, fur-lined cloaks, linen undergarments, thick trousers, and sheepskin hoods, each layer designed to trap warm air and essential for survival. This layering technique, recognized in modern contexts as the onion method, was a fundamental practice for the Vikings. Outer layers, often windproof, were constructed from felted wool, leather, or fur. Sealskin was particularly valued for its water-resistant properties, while wolf and bear fur provided superior insulation. Cloaks were frequently secured with brooches at the shoulder, a design facilitating rapid layering and minimizing heat loss, also serving as an expression of Viking identity and craftsmanship. For foot insulation, wool socks or fabric wrapped around moss or straw provided effective warmth, even when external frost penetrated the dwelling floor. Some cloaks incorporated lanolin-rich wool, known for its ability to retain heat even when damp, effectively a natural precursor to modern technical fabrics. Rather than undressing for sleep, Vikings remained fully clothed, creating a comprehensive wearable sleeping system. Archaeological discoveries in Viking burial mounds have revealed warriors interred in multiple layers of fur and linen, suggesting a practice of being equipped with protective clothing even in death. Additionally, some Viking women ingeniously integrated fur linings directly into their tunics, merging practicality with skilled textile work. The overarching objective was heat retention, prioritized above all other considerations. Beyond metabolic and structural heating, the Vikings leveraged communal body heat as a highly dependable thermal resource. The human body continuously radiates heat, approximately equivalent to a 100-watt light bulb. Consequently, Vikings engaged in communal sleeping arrangements, with families, including parents, children, and elders, sharing confined sleeping areas. They huddled closely under heavy furs, creating what modern science identifies as a shared thermal mass. This collective proximity significantly amplified warmth. A family of 4, for example, could elevate the ambient air temperature around them by up to 40 degrees Fahrenheit, 22 degrees Celsius, a critical margin between hypothermia and survival. Dogs also served as integral heat sources, sleeping alongside their owners rather than solely as companions. Some longhouses utilize extensive fur coverings, fashioned from multiple hides, to transform entire sleeping platforms into large insulated domes. Viking sleeping practices were fundamentally driven by the imperative of survival. Each decision reflected a profound commitment to safeguarding their families, their heritage, and their future. Enduring winter was merely one facet of their resilience. Upon the spring thaw, the Vikings did not merely remain domiciled. Instead, they embarked on voyages across vast oceans, notably navigating without maps or compasses, ultimately reaching a continent then unknown to the wider world, America.